Hello, everybody. Welcome to Silent Podcast, where we're anything but silent. My name is Sabrina, and I'm your host of I'm Pleased to Tell You, the Amazing Race podcast for this season. With me, I have my basically co-host, Mark, at this point. And we have a special treat for you guys. We have fifth place team, Todd and Ashlie from this season 35. I'm so excited to talk to them. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, fifth place. Yeah, we got way too many fifth places throughout the season, but
I'm sure we'll get into it. But I don't like the number 5 after this last season. I don't ever want to see number 5 ever again in my life.
Honestly, though, I feel like fifth place. It's like if I were to go any further and lose, I would feel worse.
Yeah, well, no, you feel just as bad. Fifth place, I mean, we were so close.
Yeah.
I mean, we were so close that, they send everyone home and then they fly you back for the finish line. But for us, we were so stinking close that they actually flew us straight to the finish line.
So it was just like a just
so I know
it in our faces.
Yeah, I know there's like two, we got out and there's like maybe 2 more episodes, but we it was literally like 36 hours. Yeah. So in real time. So it was nuts.
So close.
Yeah.
I actually think about that a lot. Like those teams that like come in like right afterwards. I'm like, oh, they probably just got on the same plane and were like on to the finish line.
Yeah. So they just shipped you guys and Steven and Ellie just straight to Seattle?
Yeah. We went straight to Seattle. Yep. Us and Ellie. Yep.
Yeah. We flew in and then the next day.
Well, you get a nice little Seattle vacation out of that, right?
You would think, but they keep even when you're eliminated, they're like, you're locked in your room. Don't move. So we couldn't really go out and see anything. So we were kind of bummed about that. We were like, just let us out already. Like we lost.
Yeah.
Like, let us just explore. And they're like, no.
But you know what? Like they feed you well in those hotel rooms. So it's
Absolutely.
like, so that plus and a minus.
We literally thought we were going to go on the race and lose weight. But like as much as they feed you, I think I gained 10 pounds.
Yeah. They feed you well. So
I know. I think about that sometimes. Like whenever there's teams who are like, it's the pit stop time. You have, a certain amount of time before you start the next leg. So you're just locked up in the hotel for that amount of time.
Yes.
Yeah, they literally put you in a hotel room, take away your key. They have like a PA assistant in the hallway. You're not allowed to talk to anyone, not allowed to come out. You look out of the window of your hotel room and you see all the cameramen hanging out by the pool
swimming
and having a good time.
Freaking, and we're like, are you kidding me?
And you're just like trying to find something on TV to, pass the time.
Well, we've discovered that some countries have better TV selection options than others. And so, India, they did not have much for us to watch.
But the food in India was amazing. So
True.
it's like,
pick your poison.
I love that.
That's great. So I have to ask, because you guys have like the iconic first confessional of the season. I know you guys are big fans of the show. Like, how do you feel watching it back and seeing that you guys were the first people to represent the season in that regard?
I kind of was like, whoa, they're coming out hot with just like, they're just going to throw it all out there. But I was kind of excited. I think it just was something that is so like that was kind of our biggest story, was just like, we were such big fans of the show, and we started with our story, and then Todd did such a great job of ending it with our story. And so it was just,
but also there's a lot lost in the just the way they told the story. Like they did show the story, but they left a lot of questions, and so like it left a lot of those internet trolls and people to like really speculate on what was actually going on. And so it's definitely strange.
Part of that confessional in the beginning, when we talk about our marriage and how like we've learned a lot through difficult times in our marriage, and how there are times in your marriage where it's like, listen, I don't like you, but like or whatever, you know what I'm saying, but I'm gonna choose to like love isn't necessarily just a feeling all the time, right? Because it's like, if I were to base my feelings and like how our marriage based on feelings, like I'm so moody, you know what I mean? So like love truly is an action, and like, hey, I'm grumpy or you're grumpy, I'm gonna choose to love you even if I can't, like, you're annoying me or whatever.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where I feel like it was we talked a lot about it throughout the show, and they didn't show a lot of it. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, I bet you someone cheated, or Todd cheated on Ashlie, and
Ashlie cheated on Todd, and they need to leave each other." And you're like, "What is going on?"
Oh my God. I just feel like people just live for the drama. Like no matter what, even the Amazing Race, which is like the least amount of drama in any of these shows, and there's still something that people want to sniff out.
Yep, absolutely.
Like it reminds me of like poor Corey with the Riverdance girl. How like really every interviewer was like, "So did you get a number?" And like even I did that. I was like, "Oh, this feels so awkward. I hate that."
Even we did that. I was like, "Hey, bro!" Like when I saw him in New York at the finale, I'm like, "What happened? What's going on?" He's like, yeah."
Yeah, so we said the same thing. We're like, "So did you get her number?" And then he was like, "I'm actually here with my recent girlfriend," and I was like, "Oh, okay.
We're like, sorry, didn't mean to offend," you know, like
foot in mouth, like yeah.
My bad. Oh my God.
The race starts like by your homes, like because you guys are live in Southern California, right?
Yeah.
Did that help you guys at all in the beginning moments of the race?
I felt like it did, and you know what? Like I was like mentally, I feel like it did because I was like, I know the LA freeways, I know where everything is, you know, and so I felt like I knew that, but I think it was a false hope because the first one was go to the Vanderbilt Hotel. And you know, truthfully, I didn't know what that or
Biltmore, yeah.
Vanderbilt's in New York, right?
Yes.
The Biltmore. The Biltmore is like go to the Biltmore, and I was like, I don't know what that is. You know?
Yeah.
We live in SoCal, but like I don't go to LA a lot. But what I will tell you what we did though is before we left, we printed out a map of Los Angeles because I had a feeling
this is all her too. This is awesome.
I had a feeling like okay. It said that they were gonna take us to Los Angeles, like a hotel in Los Angeles. And I'm thinking, we're gonna start. I have a gut feeling that we're going to start out in Los Angeles. So we printed out a map and we like highlighted all of the places that the Amazing Race has started, the finish line or the starting lines out of all of their seasons. And I told Todd, I'm like, they've never done it at the Hollywood sign. That is like that's weird to me. I have a gut feeling it's gonna be at the Hollywood sign. So we kind of based everything off of us starting at the Hollywood sign. And we said, okay, if we start here, we got to take this freeway and we got to go here. So it was one of those things where I feel like that was an advantage to us, but
But it wasn't because she also bought a whole book on Italy and she was trying to memorize all the roads of Italy. So it's like, how do you even know we're going to Italy? You know, like we did it.
I was right about the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So it's like there's so many of those. Yeah.
He got so irritated because I was like, all right, I'm going to need you to like look through these maps. And he was like, Ashley, this is a map of all of Europe.
Yeah. Memorize the world.
Memorize the world.
Yeah.
All of it right now.
I mean, and you can even prep like Slovenia, because like
never been,
no, never thought of, not even that.
I didn't even know it existed before we went. So I'm like, Slovenia, where's that?
No, literally, whenever I was watching like those episodes with my husband, we were like, wait, this place is so pretty. Why did we not know about this? Like, we should go there. Like,
same. I thought like, man, what is Slovenia? Is it like dark and gray and like concrete? You know,
right?
Block. You know, like as Americans, we're fed like this, like you know. How Eastern Bloc is supposed to be, and you get there, and it's like the most gorgeous, like Disney princess land ever. Yeah,
I love that. It was so pretty. I was really in awe in those episodes for sure.
And we talked to Bertram, the main guy of the whole thing, right? And he said Slovenia is like it's like the most expensive right now, and it's the most it's the up and coming place. So
it's worth it though. Well, Todd, I'm like, you got to take me back there because what we saw, and I'm like, now I want to go explore. You know what I mean? He's like, too bad we didn't win the million, so we're not going back.
Was there any other place like that you were like, man, I really need to go back?
I loved Sweden. I love Sweden.
I would like to go back to
it's
Sweden
really
as
cool.
well.
Yeah, Sweden was nice.
Yeah, it was fun to be watching that episode in Sweden because, like, obviously it's like where you guys ended your race, but like after the smorgasbord of hell that happened before, like seeing how much fun you guys had in Sweden was beautiful.
Yes, we had it was definitely like probably one of our most memorable legs, like in terms of like what we were able to do and but then it was also like the most devastating leg. Like every emotion you could possibly feel, we had that throughout that leg.
Yeah, Ashlie was like super happy skydiving and then super happy subway. Yeah.
I was. Yeah. I looked after, I don't even remember that I said that. Like the whole like, well, that sounds like what, or that's what losers say or something. Like, I don't even remember saying that, but I'm like, of course they got it. And I was just like, oh, Ashlie, seriously? But it was just such a long day. And I knew we were going home, and it was just a very hard pill to swallow for me.
Yeah, they did a really good job editing, looking like it was close, but it really wasn't. Like if you see that last leg that we were in, you see it looks close, and then Steve and Annalise get there and they're on the mat with everyone else.
Yeah.
And then we came in and we were all alone. So it was definitely, they said what, we were about
15 to 20
minutes later. So.
Which isn't a lot.
It's not.
No, not the Amazing Race like at all. Like I remember it was either last season or 2 seasons ago. There was a edit where it definitely looked like it was extremely close to the line. And I messaged one of the cast members and I was like, hey, like how close was it really during that pit stop? And they're like, oh, like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, that's like a lot. Like,
yeah, that's not close at all.
No.
Well, and it was funny watching that episode. We saw the 3 teams get lost, and they're just kind of go. And then like
we had no idea.
We had no idea, but like I was watching it like, oh my gosh, we might have a chance. Like I even knew that. I was like, oh my god, we could totally make it. Run! Like, but I already knew it. It was just one of those things where I was like, dang it! Like they got lost. We totally could have had it.
Yeah. So.
And speaking of time, so did you guys wear watches like during the race? Did you were you allowed to have time like keepers or anything like that?
Yeah. We both had watches, but I didn't. There was a part of me that wanted to time each, like how long it would take each task.
Yeah.
But like that went out the window day one because I was like,
it's like that whole Mike Tyson thing is like everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face, right?
Yeah.
Like you have a plan, and then once the race hits, you're like it goes out
the window for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any idea of like the shortest leg versus like the longest leg in terms of like how many hours which each one of them took?
I would say the longest leg for us was Slovenia, the dragon.
Oh Lord,
that
mercy.
Freaking dragon was crazy long. Like I know they made it seem it took us a lot, and that was one of the ones where like for instance the last leg that we were in where we lost is it shows Ashlie like kind of doing the wreath, and it looks like she's falling behind, but really we were like lockstep with everyone else. We were just 15 minutes behind. Right. And she was just about 15-20 minutes behind. Right. With the dragon, though, we took so long with that thing. We were like already behind. And then it was we were like an hour slower than everyone else.
Yeah. It was one of those things where we entered the cave married, and it was roll the dice whether we left the cave divorced. Like it was so stressful, and like
she was looking at that dragon guy like, hey, what's up, dude? I'm like, hey, get up. Like we're having issues. It ain't that bad, dude. Back off.
I have to ask because I forgot to ask you guys this when I talked to you guys like a month or so ago. In Thailand, that first leg, the massage.
Oh yeah.
It looked like you just were like saying wait. That's all you said, and then like she restarted the whole thing.
Dude, don't get me started on this, okay? So I get Thai massages. Like we have gotten Thai massages in our personal lives, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're laying there, you're there, and there's like 6 cameras, right? And I was like, technically, I don't want to be a dork, but I am a dork. So I was trying to show off. I was going, oh wait, I could have just quietly shut my mouth, but I wanted to get camera time, like that's kind of what trying to put a little on it.
Yeah.
Wait. I said, wait. But then she stopped. And then once you stop, like the rules say, if she stops for any reason, then you got to do it over because of you. Right. And so I was so upset with myself. They did a good edit on me because I was very upset at the time, and she had amazing grace.
It was one of those things where like when you know how to read like your partner, and I was like, I was so mad that Todd like just got us a penalty. I was livid inside, But then I was like, oh, he's really mad and we both can't be mad. So I'm gonna take it back a little bit.
It was
fine.
Yeah, I was like, we're good.
It was a lot like the Sweden subway, right? Like she was very upset and so was I, but I realized she was down here. I have to come up here to try to even it out. Yeah. And with the same massage, I was so angry. She had to not, you had to say nice things. Yeah. And so, because if we just let our emotions fly, we've just gone, down the drain. So.
That would have been like so insane to watch that. Like considering like in my mind, like that you like stop it, like it stops, and then you just like yell at each other, and then you just have to like go at that massage for like half an hour in silence.
In silence. Dead silence.
Well, there's definitely that temptation, right? Like you get so angry with your partner at the time sometimes that you do have to like watch yourself for sure.
Yeah.
I know, it's like I had asked my husband to like try out for the race, and he was like, I don't want to be on TV. And then I was like, yeah, we probably fight too much. I don't even know like how that would even go down. Like like it'd be a little challenging. So like I always commend people who go on the race like with their significant other, because I'm sure it is really challenging to overcome those things and to realize like, hey, I need to be the better person here. Or, like, hey, like this, I need to like, I can let my emotions out at this time, or I need to wait for this. Like,
absolutely.
Well, that's how I was too, because I never wanted to go on with her at all because I knew that too. And she just kept hounding me and like, all right, fine, we'll audition. It'll never happen. And it actually happened.
And I got my way. So
right. But that was as a husband, I think as a husband and as a, it's really like, you really have to be careful because, it's really easy to snap on your wife. It will,
and we had a lot of moments where we were like, that was like the perfect storm of like, think about in Slovenia when we missed the express pass, we both were like, it's your fault. No, it's your fault.
No, that was a good edit for us because there was a part where we literally got so petty with each other. We got so petty that it literally, here's how the conversation went. Hey, this was your fault. Nuh-uh, it's your fault. Nuh-uh, it's your fault. Nuh-uh, it turned into that.
So that's like literally Sandra, Janelle, and Traders last week. Just telling each other that they're traitors.
Yeah, that was like one of my favorite episodes this season. Was like whenever everybody was missing the express pass, and then Steve and Annalie like not realizing that it was taken. Like that whole episode was just so chaotic, and it was. I just it made me laugh so hard whenever you guys missed it, and you were like way over in the field. I'm just like, oh my god! Like,
well, the thing they don't show, because the thing is like I coach my daughter's soccer team. They're like 8-year-olds, and even the 8-year-olds are making fun of me. Like, hey, coach, you suck. And I'm like, I know. But
sorry. Oh my god.
So embarrassing.
What they don't show is like there's 3 jumps, right? There's 3 giant jumps, and you don't like. I guess if I slowed down and looked at like zip lines.
No. It made the most sense. They're not going to have us go so far. Like all it took was for us to just be like, let's take a second and we were like, no, let's just like, no.
And so we didn't see it. And then I went down to the next jump and we went down to the next jump, and each jump is like 100 yards apart. Right.
Yeah.
And
so we're running around like idiots. And like it was literally like right in front of us. Like, and I joke around, but like the only time we ever saw the marked entrance was when it was on TV. Like it was just
crazy. That's crazy.
To this day, it just
and we were a good 10, maybe even 15 minutes ahead of Robin Court.
Yeah.
It was just the biggest miss, and I like. The leg we lost, I don't even blame anything. That's the part where I think we lost it. Because if we would have had that, we would have been fine.
We would have been millionaires right now. We would have run the race.
I want it's one of my favorite moments in the early parts of the season. And like I know we talked about this before about how Todd's really good at making friends like anywhere he goes. Like watching Todd and everyone like look at the koi fish while Ashley's basically fighting the judge with the lotus flowers.
Fighting for my life.
Like that might be like the hardest judge I've ever seen.
For real, we talked about this like all season. We talked so much about the judges and how like particular they were, and like some judges were extremely strict, and some of them were like, "Nah, it's fine, you can go now." Like,
yeah. I will say, we've talked about this with the other cast members. Like that was by far that was the hardest challenge of all of the entire season, and it was one of those things where I like. Looking when we rewatched the episode and like I was thinking like, oh, Todd's stressing out because I'm taking too long, and like, because I would be stressing out, and Todd's sitting like they shoot to him, and he's just like, who wants to feed the koi fish? Everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you didn't even care that I was like struggling. But I will say, for whatever reason, that judge was just, I felt like there was a little lenience on some, and like she just went super hard.
Well, the overall consensus with all the people that did it was that they were going extra hard on the females for some reason.
Yeah.
And the males were getting a little easier judged for some reason. So
and what's crazy too is that when you fast forward to Sweden, so it was myself, Greg, and Garrett. And so the first us three, when you think of everyone except for Anna Lee, did the Lotus challenge, and we all spent like way too much time on the wreath because flashbacks to the Lotus. So we were like, hey, this has got to be meticulous because we got our butt handed to us and at the Lotus challenge. And then Anna Lee just like literally threw crap on the wall and it stuck, and they were like, you passed. And so we were like,
that's so frustrating. Oh my god.
Oh, so frustrating. So yeah.
PTSD coming in.
Right?
Yeah.
Honestly. Speaking of challenges, is there a particular roadblock that one of you guys did that you wish the other one did?
Yeah. I wish Todd did the pots challenge. That would have been so funny to watch Todd do the balancing.
Oh yeah.
The dancing one, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the dancing one. Yeah. Imagine how tall he would have. That just would have been good TV.
Well, I probably wouldn't have been good at balancing the pots on my head.
Oh, really? Because you were like, hurry up.
Well,
What's taking so long? You're taking too long. Like that was a hard challenge. And I was like, and what was so frustrating, and I'm gonna tell, this was like, they didn't show this, and it's so weird what they decide to show and not show.
Yeah.
So as I'm practicing with the pots, right? Like I'm zoned in and I'm just like, okay. And I thought it was really about the footwork, but it was really all about your hand placement. And I'm like just so into practicing, and I look over and I see Todd standing over by the stairs, and he has his hands up and he's like, what are you, because you can't help when it comes to like the
roadblocks.
Yeah.
So he's like, what are you doing? Hurry up. Let's go. And he's just like, and I was like, oh shoot. Like, I guess I better go.
Because like we got there first, and then you're like last going in. So I was like, hurry up. Everyone else is doing it, you know?
So then I'm like, oh, I guess I better hurry up now. So I'm walking up there, and of course they don't show Todd getting all like, hurry up. So, but as I'm walking up, he's like, you got this, Ashlie, let's go. And I was like, I'd like to see you guys. And then I was like, oh man, you little turd. But it was such a fun challenge. But I think just comically, it would have been hilarious.
Well, I'm glad you did it because you look beautiful in that in that getup.
Yeah,
so
just brought it home.
Yeah.
What about you? Is there one that you thought you wish I had done?
Not really. No.
Yeah.
Well, the stamp one.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with that, but
the stamp one looked challenging, like because it looked like either you got it and understood how to do it, or not at all.
I had a tough time with it, you know, and it was one of those deals when you're like, okay, dude, just keep calm. It's not a big deal. Keep calm. You know, it's one of those. So I definitely didn't kill. I did okay. I didn't kill that challenge at all. So
you know which roadblock I'm so glad he did that I didn't. To this day, I'm like, who is the matchmaker in was it Vietnam?
Yeah.
Where the tile, they had to match the tiles.
Yeah.
Where Victor, I think it was the second episode.
Yes. Yes.
That one looked so hard. I'm so glad that he did that, because I had so much anxiety just like rewatching that.
That was like a needle and haystack challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
Was you guys give like an area of the temple to like look at, or was it just like go anywhere?
Yeah, it's go anywhere, and there's like thousands of them, you know.
That's
and
crazy.
There's like, so you kind of just luck out on what section you start with.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it really reminded me of the one challenge where they had the hay barrels and they had to unravel the hay barrels to get their clue. Like same kind of situation. Like I feel like, I mean, especially with this season, that was definitely one of the closest finishes I've ever seen in a long time. And with, you didn't know who was going to lose. Like everybody was like having the same struggle, like trying to find this tile.
Yeah.
Which it's so hard to go home on that type of challenge where it really is just kind of the luck of the draw, right? Like there's no skill involved. It's just like, oh, he found it first.
Yeah.
It's got to be a hard that's a hard one, you know. Sorry, Victor and Jocelyn.
Yeah, like we were all like, oh my god, because I feel like a lot of people had Victor and Jocelyn as their top picks to like win, and see them go out in that kind of challenge. I was like, oh my god, like that's rough.
Yeah, I think like because like we had you guys, Victor, Jocelyn, Greg and John, and like Corey and Rob, like as like people were like, these are people are gonna be long in the series. Yeah,
we almost had it.
Almost. Yeah. You guys had a good chunk of them. Yeah.
So you mentioned briefly that you were like, oh, I should have taken this one thing home. Did you get any souvenirs?
No, I mean, we snuck which you're not supposed to, but we snuck one in our bag. So hopefully it's bad. But I know that some people did. I know Milena and Andrea, when we were in Vietnam, like they actually like took a hat and like someone gave them one
of those big hats. In Vietnam. Yeah. But they're carrying it around the whole time.
Race, yeah. So there were a few, like, it's one of those things where you're like, I really want to take this with me, but I don't want to carry it the rest of the leg. So we really didn't take much.
No, and so we collect magnets, and we love magnets everywhere we go. And so we're actually in the process of ordering magnets from every place we went to.
Oh,
so everything we saw, we're like, hey, let's just order that online. Or try to get something similar when we get back home. When we have the $1 million, you know?
Yeah. It won't. It'll be a drop in the bucket when we've won the million. So it's totally fine. And it's funny because I say like I don't want to carry it, but like Todd carried both our bags pretty much the entire race. So like, poor guy.
Love it.
Was there any team that you guys were working 100% with, or like? 'Cause I know you guys were having your small issues with Robin and Chelsea in the race, but like were there teams like that you were like, yeah, these are the people I will always like help if I can, or these are the teams I will not help if I can't?
Well, we linked up. We try to have a little alliance with Annalie and Steve, Liam and Jeremy, and then who else, was that it?
That was it.
We try to link up with them, but at the same time, I know Annalie, and you know Annalie, who she is.
Well, wait. We formed this alliance back in right after our first going from Thailand to Vietnam, right? When we all missed that big flight. So us three teams really formed that tight alliance. We were like, hey, we're gonna help each other. Like, let's make sure that we help each other to get to the next leg. And then when at the matchmaker, when Annalie goes, I think I saw Todd's tile, but I'm not going to tell him. And I was like, we were in an alliance.
You kind of know Annalie, and you know, like, hey, she'll help you, but she won't go above and beyond. So you got an alliance, but you can't really trust it. But Liam and Jeremy, I mean, those guys are my boys. Yeah. So
and it's weird because it's like I went into this race being like, I'm not gonna help anybody. I'm gonna stab people in the back. But then you're like,
then she helps Rob on that bridge. You know,
it's just one of those things where it's like it's a split-second decision, and you're just like it just really is like.
I think your true person comes out like, oh, I'll help you. We're ahead, or we're ahead of at least 3 other teams.
I'll tell you what, if we ever went back on, I ain't helping nobody. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna be like, yeah, it's that way when it's not. Oh, I play it so different.
You're like, get to swim across the bridge. It's on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I would always say, I would never help anybody, but I feel like I'm too nice for that. Like, I'm too much of a people pleaser to, not, do this.
Same.
It's hard not to, right? Yeah. It's hard not to.
And it's hard, too, because now there's this, this U-turn vote, which is totally brand new. And, I don't know if they're going to keep it for future seasons or not, but if they do, it does kind of give that incentive to be nice to people and to actually want to help people.
Which I think that, because of Todd, he did such a great job, and he always does, of just, making sure that he has put himself and us in a really good position with all teams, because we talk about this, we would have been the ideal team to U-turn because we're kind of in the middle of the pack but towards the top. So it's like, hey, let's get out this team because they're pretty consistent, always, at least for now, top 5. Let's get them out,
Right.
But I think it was one of those things where not Todd and Ashlie, because they're just so nice and fun,
and you know what, they're really not that much of a threat,
right?
And so you gotta play that card. But the way that I think it was voted, I think that was the worst strategy ever, because they were 2 hours ahead of everybody.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I feel like like I said before, like I feel like Amazing Race is just doesn't really have as much strategy in terms of like social strategy as like obviously like Big Brother or Survivor or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I don't think people are really thinking about those consequences of like if I U-turn somebody who's way ahead of me, it doesn't even matter. Or if I U-turn somebody way below me, like yes, they get out, but they're a weak team. So what's the point?
Mhm.
So you're right. Like I think the ideal strategy really is to, middle top of the pack because you're guaranteeing somebody hopefully falls off after you.
Right.
Which I was hoping, there was a part of me that was hoping that there was another U-turn later on in the season, because what I always enjoyed about the Amazing Race was like those seasons that had an additional U-turn.
Yes.
It was like consequences for like, okay, I'm going to U-turn this team. And it was always great to see later on in the season where it's like, oh, they U-turned us.
Yep.
We're going to pay you back, right?
Yep.
So there was that aspect that I was hoping that would come. We would have the opportunity.
Yeah, I was shocked that there wasn't another U-turn
to like
in there.
to
like
U-turn
just a traditional
team,
one.
because So
when did they tell you about the voting aspect? Was that like that day?
They told us no, they told us about that it's coming. They don't, tell you when it is. But yeah, they didn't tell us.
It was the start of the race. They said it was going to be
U-turn vote. But they didn't tell you anything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so but like I think we all figured it out. Like that means we must have to vote first and then
race.
Which I personally didn't like that. I liked the old school way of the U-turns where it's like if you're like you're first to the board, you have to make that split decision of like Yeah.
Like if you guys had the opportunity with a second U-turn, who would you have tried to U-turn?
It matters what position you're in, and it matters where you're at. Like if you're first, you probably don't U-turn it, but if it's mandatory, obviously Chelsea and Robin, right?
Well,
but
no, I honestly, if there was another U-turn down the road, and let's say there was one in, I don't know.
And looking back, John and Greg every time. 100%.
I would have either U-turned John or Greg or Robin Corey, because Robin Corey and us, we were always like first or second, or second or third. We were always next to each other. So looking back, I think that if there was another U-turn, I would have U-turned either one of those teams for sure. I'd do it right now. I'd like right now.
Like replay, let's go.
It's like how are Greg and John the first ones out of the season then, right?
right. I know.
Redo.
Wish, yeah.
So I know you said that you bought a book about Italy, anticipating potentially like going there. Were there any other countries that you were like, I think we're gonna go here? Like I think this is happening.
I part of me wanted to go. I really wanted. That's how I like planned, right? I planned for all the places I wanted to go. And Todd's like, what world are you living in? Like you're picking all of these exotic, beautiful places. Like, so I was like, maybe we'll go to, the south of France. Yeah. And we're also going to Switzerland. And they're going to make us go to the island of Capri. And he's like, you're out of your mind. Like that's ridiculous. But there was this, I really was hoping that we would go to Switzerland. I've just loved every time the race has gone to Switzerland, they always do like the most outrageous challenges. And so there was a part of me that was hoping we would go there.
Yeah, I was hoping to go to like somewhere in Africa just because I've never been on that continent, right? Yeah. And I don't know if I ever will. And so I would love to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right though. Like Switzerland's always like they always have like the weirdest like cheese challenges out there or whatever.
I remember one season they did it with like they had to take a bunch of Saint Bernard dogs like up.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, like that was just like such a cool challenge. And so I was kind of hoping they'd be like, for the second time in the season, we're gonna bring back the Saint Bernards, But
you're like, yay, puppies.
I know. I was like,
was Switzerland a watermelon launch or was that different country?
Oh, I
don't know. The one where it came back.
Yeah. The famous meme, unfortunately.
That was so epic. Like, literally, like, I will still watch that in that poor. And then, you know what I loved about the whole thing is like I think it was her sister, and she was like, you're good. You gotta keep going. Just like,
you're like, I'm not good.
That would have been me. I'm like, you're fine. I did it a million times. Yeah.
Oh, like when I thought I broke my finger?
Yeah. What was your finger okay after the whole mattress?
It was like,
stuff?
it was jammed. I jammed 2 of my fingers. And what happened was what was it? Vietnam?
It was Vietnam that leg. Yeah.
So the mattress challenge, they had a set of like stairs, right? And they were like tile stairs, very slippery. You have sweat and tile stairs, and they had a tiny little rug that wasn't attached or like secured. So like if you stepped on it, it would just slip right off.
On tiled stairs. This is the most dangerous thing I've ever seen. Yeah.
It was so sketchy. And so when I was coming down the stairs, I had slipped and I grabbed the railing, but my body kept going. So my fingers just went like completely, they got jammed. But yeah, I was fine. And Todd, like, he knows me. Like, he was like, let me see the fingers. And he's like, you're fine. I've done this a million times. You'll be like,
and people are like, what do you mean you've done it a million times? Well, I was a basketball player, and you always jam your fingers. Like, that's such a basketball player injury, you know? So, yeah, people were like, oh, what does he mean he did it a million times? Well, not literally, but I have done it.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really fascinating that, like, to see basketball players on the show is always a cool thing. I mean, like, obviously, like, the Globetrotters, like, the most iconic ones. And did playing in like European countries, I know you guys talked about living in Germany for a little bit. Did that help at all with understanding customs or what was needed for the race?
That's what I thought would happen, but I would say no, not at all. You know, everything was it was just so long ago. Like we lived there, like 10 years ago, 12, 15 years ago. So I don't know. Everything has changed since then, you know? And so, you know, like we were in Europe during the time of like internet cafes and MapQuest, you know?
We had to like print out our directions.
Now you gotta, like, people have phones and they can get around. And so you're rather than going into like a internet cafe, you're going into like strangers on the street with phones. And so, I don't know
if it helped us, but I do think there is that aspect of like, you're familiar with kind of the environment, right? Like you're a little more familiar with it than if someone that's never been.
Yeah, I guess it's not going to be the same at all. Yeah, you know that going into. Yeah.
So Watermelon Slingshot was season 17, episode 1, and they were in England.
Okay.
Episode 1. Wait, I was start the show Amazing Race. Like,
dude, right? I know. I can imagine. God, so horrible. I feel like it's been like circling around more recently too, like the actual video and GIF and stuff. I feel like it's been like more recent that it's like come around, and it was like 2010 it came out.
It's so funny because like we had our close family, like certain members of our family, like obviously knew where we were going, and because they were gonna help watch the kids and stuff, and they said was, don't be the watermelon lady. Like whatever you do, don't be the watermelon lady. I was like, I can't promise that. Like I can't promise that, you know. So it was funny.
So then how long from start to finish were you on this journey?
Oh gosh.
Was it June 4th to July 7th?
I think it was June 7th to July 7th.
So
it was literally like
1 month.
Yeah, 1 month.
God, that's so crazy because it seems obviously like so much longer with, watching the episodes week by week. And it's pretty wild how like fast the turnaround is for each place you guys go and each leg. And God, I bet it's just exhausting.
Yeah, I know. And what I would say that like they do a really good job of like making sure that you get enough sleep. But the legs, I will say the legs that felt the absolute longest is when we had to fly and like sleep overnight in the plane because like Todd, I mean, he's 6'8",
I can't sleep
6'7".
on planes. Yeah.
He's never been able to sleep on planes. And so like the way he was able to just like complete challenges with like literally no sleep was like, kudos to you, man. Cause I was snoring. I was like, I'm good.
The lack of sleep for me would be like,
it's hard.
I'd be doing pretty bad.
That's how I was in Sweden. Like we flew that whole day. And then that night we got to the airfield, and we had to.
It was like a skydiving camp, right?
Yeah.
And so they had a cabin full of like bunk beds, and you sleep in the bunk bed, but it's still light outside. It's crazy.
It was so bright. It got darker like when it got to like 5 a.m. It was so weird, like watching that editing.
It was just so bizarre. So like we got there at like in the evening, we had dinner, and then we had to do all of the prep. Like you had to get weighed and answer, sign waivers and stuff, and they had to show you So by the time we went to bed, it was probably like 12:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, okay, great, your call time, you need to be up and ready to go by 1:45. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I need sleep. Like, and I was so terrified of skydiving. I didn't sleep at all. So there's a part of me that thinks that played a huge factor into our leg in Sweden. It was just, you know what I'm saying? Like lack of sleep, you know, and an adrenaline dump after skydiving. And so it was just like a lack of sleep really does mess with people.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. No, I would be the exact same way.
What's it like when it gets like the things like weird parts of legs, like the carnival, I believe in Germany, and you just have like 1,000, like 100 people there just cheering you on while you're on a giant like bike with a horse head on it.
Dude,
like,
we loved it. I loved it. That was like it. I think John mentioned it. He was like, it was like the most beautiful fever dream ever. And that's what it felt like. You're like, wait, like what is happening? Like people are like flying in the air and like we're throwing roses. Todd's riding a horse. Like it was just like, just so bizarre.
And it was the one time where like it wasn't hard. You just gotta do your thing, and then you know, so the stress was off. And
I just enjoy it.
You felt like you were special, you know. So I was like, hey, I love this, you know.
Well, and what was so funny is part of the clue at the end. It said when you get on the stage, you have to dance. You have to do it like do a dance, and then you get your clue. So Todd and I like, so I don't know why they didn't show it, but like we went so hard. I was like spinning on the floor.
She was like a break dancer.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, like they didn't show it at all, but that was like it was kind of a breath of fresh air because it was like it allowed you to just enjoy the task without like a judge or you know the risk of like you being last. So it was just like get in there, enjoy it, and then go. So that was one of my highlights, truly.
It looked like a lot of fun. Like I bet it is like so nice to get that break, just to be like, oh my god, let me just enjoy for like half a second, like take this in, and just like keep going.
Yep.
But that's exactly how it felt. Yeah.
Speaking of like weird stuff like that, was there any interesting encounters with like local people that like you wasn't shown or that you like remember?
Yeah,
so many that they didn't show. Like that's one of the things. Like that's how I would say one of our strong points or an advantage for us is like we really do have or I would say more so you than me, but Todd has this knack of like striking conversations and making people feel comfortable no matter like where they're from. So like when we were in Vietnam doing the market, like Todd was just like,
I was dancing with the lady. Yeah. Right. She was going around telling me where things were. We were goofing around.
And every time we'd get something, he would start dancing and he would like force the other people to dance with him. And they just loved him. And so it like to our advantage, they would help us out even more. When we got lost in Slovenia, we had to pull off and, ask for directions. And there wasn't a lot of people willing to help because for some countries, they just like they see a camera and they're like, don't come near me.
Yeah.
But Todd just was like, he's kind of like eases his way in and strikes this conversation. And we were talking to this one man who was on a road trip with his family and they got lost. And Todd was like, I'm lost, man. I didn't listen to my wife. And here we are. And he was like, so we're like,
and he's like, I never listen to my wife. And then we like we're like having a good time.
Right. So I was telling this local about like, can you believe it? Like I told him to turn here and he didn't. And he was like, listen, I'm going to go with your husband on this. And I'm like, what? So like, that was probably one of our favorite things about the race was like the things that weren't shown. There's so much of it, but it was mainly our interactions with the locals. Like it just, that made the race for us.
Yeah, it really did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So the weird giant utensils that you were carrying on your back, Todd, towards the end of your race, like were those as delicate as it looked? It looked like you couldn't move more than like a normal walk.
Yeah, so it's like a wood backpack, right? You put that thing on and literally there's just like a little wood piece that you have to hang these utensils off, and it's a lot like your spatulas at home, right? Like, but it's wood, and then they're connected to each other, and you don't tie it on. You literally just have to hang it on like just a little piece of like a knob coming off the wood thing. So yeah, if you like tilt this way, it could come off. Tilt that way, it could come off. And so what I did too was I wrote notes, and I because there was levels, and you have to, you put the spatula on this level, and then the little bucket on this and that, right? So I made sure I wrote it down because I was scared that if they fell off, that I wouldn't know where it's supposed to go. Yeah. So definitely, but luckily nothing fell off. But I thought what would have made it interesting, and I think this was your idea. Let them know, what was your idea?
I thought it would have been a little more of old school Amazing Race, is that if at any point anything falls off of your backpack, you have to go back to the starting line. So that was like rewatching it, because of course I didn't know what he was doing. Rewatching it, I was like, dude, like there were so many teams that like dropped things along the way. Yes, it would have been a little more of a stressor to have them go back to the starting line, or to the point to kind of start over.
And after that, I was like, they should have did that because I didn't drop anything.
I did that too, because then we end up getting royally lost that episode. Yeah. So.
Right.
It also looked like it was a long path from like the starting point to like the ending point of the utensils. Like it looked long or confusing.
It was you didn't know where you're going. That was the hardest part, but it was about maybe like a quarter mile.
Oh, okay.
It was maybe like a 3 to 5 minute walk if like you're walking briskly without it. And so it took me about 10, 15 minutes. I don't know.
I would have gotten lost immediately.
But it was hard because like it was just the picture that you had to show was just like the little fountain that was in the middle of it. So and so what I asked somebody and they said, hey, it's this way. And then I asked another person and said, hey, it's that way. And then, like, oh no. So I'm like, I'm gonna ask a third person. And I'm going to go with whichever way.
Yeah.
And I found a waiter that was waiting outside, like a guy who was waiting restaurants. And so I was like, that guy's going to know. And so he told me. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys enjoy doing like roadblocks or detours like near everybody else? Like, so you could kind of see what the other teams were doing, or did you prefer to be kind of on your own, like focusing on yourselves?
Both.
That's such a hard question.
Because you feel comfortable in the group, right? You feel comfortable in the group.
Because you can gauge, like, all I have to do is be in front of them, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're alone, you're just like, there's been legs where like you don't know where you are at any given point in placement, right? So I liked having someone close by because it always gave me a point of reference of like, hey, we just need to beat this person, right? I didn't necessarily like being.
Well, I found it's because there's one where we're actually ahead. It was after the hay. Where was that?
Oh yeah,
the hay. We were actually ahead of everyone, and it's really hard in front, and it's really hard in the back.
Yeah.
So I would prefer to be in the group, but at the same time, that's not how you win, right? You got to be able to do it on your own. So. Definitely that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I mean, it reminds me like back I think in Vietnam with the vinyl, like how no one that did the vinyl side had any idea they were at the bottom of the pack.
I know.
Or like us at the puppets, we thought we were in the very, very back.
Yeah,
with puppets in India.
We saw Rob and Corey and we're like, dude,
this is it. Like it's us against them. And then we get there and we're like fourth and we're like, what? It's crazy.
Because I heard the puppets would play half an hour and like everyone took like 2 hours for the other challenge too. That's what I heard.
Yeah, to this day we joke around with Ian and Joe about how like they tossed us that win, because if it weren't for them getting to that puzzle first, like that would have been us, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we joke with them. We're like, we bought them beers and when we were in New York, because we're like, yeah, you guys
like you guys took the hit for us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I feel like there were a lot, like at least towards like the beginning half of the season, where there were very, I think, pretty big disparities in the detour choices. I feel like there was one that was significantly easier than the other for quite a few legs. And I don't know if you guys like felt that or kind of realized that when you're watching it, like.
I think so, but I think
we always seem to choose the right one,
yeah.
right? And the one time we didn't choose the right one, Joe and Ian beat us out.
Yeah.
So we lucked out. We really did.
And I think like luckily we didn't choose the ones that were more difficult.
Like even in that last one where what is it? John and Greg, they did the serving one.
Yeah,
that
in
one looked
Sweden,
difficult.
that one looked. I was like, bro, that one looked way hard.
way hard.
Right.
You know,
they made it look so easy too.
Trash. Yeah. You're like, oh,
that trash one was super simple.
Just toss it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the recycling plant looked huge, though. Like it looked so big.
It was actually. I mean, it was a really big recycling plant, though.
It was huge, but you know what? Like we've moved, like, you know, Southern California, we've had to move because we're renters. We move a few times, right? And so it's like moving a fridge. I mean, please, that's what we do like pretty much every other year anyway. So it wasn't, you know.
Did you guys learn any particular words in different languages or any fun facts?
We didn't have time to be honest. We were so stressed out and worried about racing. I know we tried to, and then it all goes out the window. Like you try to say, hey, we're in a race, you know, in another country.
Yeah.
But you find that a lot of people could kind of understand anyway what the task is.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I learned anything other than I am a sore loser. I think that's the only thing that I learned on the race.
I just feel so bad. Like I remember like watching the when you guys are trying to find the chains, and I'm just like, they're gonna murder each other, and it looked so sad. I'm just like, oh no, Todd's gonna like get screamed at once it stops like recording. Or
well, what they don't show is I was goofing around like the whole season.
Oh, okay.
So like kind of how you see me goofing, hey, you know, I was doing that a lot. So I think she was just done with it, you know.
I think I had just reached my max where I was like, okay.
And
this was the first time we were in the back of the pack, like legit, like we were in the back. And number one, I guess I don't like being not in the top half of the group. Mm-hmm. But this is what makes us such a perfect balance. But the majority of the race, Todd, I mean, even episode 1, when he's like doing the walking across,
goofing around.
Oh, 1 foot, look at me. And I'm like, focus, dude. Like, just get the task done. But like, that was him like every leg of the race where he was just like, yeah, we're just here for a good time. And I'm like, I'm here to win. And so I think it all came to a head at that moment where I was like, and he was like, I'm like, he's celebrating. I'm like, what are you celebrating for? He's like, because we found the chains.
The little victories.
Yeah, like you're acting like we won the race. Get in the boat. Like, let's just go. You know?
Like that stuff's fun when you're in the front, but when you're in the back,
that's the thing. Like if you would have done that and we were in first, I would have been like, oh babe, you're so funny.
You're so cute.
But us being in the back, I was like, not cute. Get in the boat.
Yeah,
we're done.
You're not cute. You're annoying. Let's go.
How do you guys think it would fit if like we're able to get to like the last 2 legs of the race?
Say that again.
How do you think you would have fared if you weren't eliminated when you were, but like were able to race to the end? Like, how do you think you would have done with the rest of them?
I truly think that if we had not been eliminated in Sweden, we would have probably came in first or second. Truly, because when we look at what was done in Ireland. Like the cold swim, not a problem. This guy like ice baths all the time. He's a swimmer. I'm not. I can swim. That stuff doesn't bother me. I think that the
river dance
that looked hard.
That was rough.
We were practicing it. Like I could totally do that. And then once it started and they really started going, I'm like, never mind. That looked difficult.
Yeah,
but I think we would have gotten it eventually. And the last leg, I don't know. I feel like we would have done really well. Yeah. It's one like even just the acrobatic thing. I think we would have been fairly decent just because you're long and that wouldn't have been a problem.
I hope so. I don't know. Yeah, but I think we definitely would have.
I think that if we, again, I'm saying this, I've said it before. If we would have gotten that express pass, we would have been at least
top two.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am fully confident in that. And that was just like, we joke about it and we joke about it with like very passive aggressively. That like, you know, of us missing that express pass really was the turning point in the leg for us.
Yeah, that's what got us.
Or the race, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not over it.
Right. I wouldn't be either. I mean, it's still like pretty fresh. I mean, considering that y'all season was filmed later, but is premiering before the next one. Like it was such a short turnover. Like it probably is still like raw and fresh on
7
y'all's
months
mind.
ago. Yeah.
Well, we hung out in New York with a bunch of past racers and stuff like that, you know, during the finale. And I was like, hey, how long till, you know, you get over it? And someone
they're like, never.
They
still
You'll
think
never
about
get,
it.
you know?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're just like, man, if I only did this, or, you know, and it just kind of stays with you. You know, you play that what if game, and that's like the worst but best game ever.
But at the end of the day, if that's like my big regret, I mean, come on, that's amazing. We're so blessed just to have that.
Absolutely. Ooh, I'm cutting out here.
What was that?
That was
So
weird. Okay.
I'm always curious, like, what do you think was the best task judge and your least favorite task judge?
Oh no!
Oh, they're flipping.
Well,
All right.
I
they don't
can't hear you either. I think it's you guys.
Okay.
No.
There we go.
Oh,
I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah,
that was weird. I know. I was like hearing it too. I was like, what's that interference?
No. Do you guys hear us now?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear
Perfect.
you. Yeah.
We're good
Okay,
now.
cool. Yeah. So I was curious, like, what do you think was your favorite task judge and your least favorite task judge?
I think everyone knows who my least favorite task judge was. Was the Lotus. Hands down, that lady had it out for me.
I didn't like. Well, it wasn't mine, but it was on your dancing one. The pot.
Yeah.
I didn't like that judge either, because I feel like we were watching and we're like, hey, like the people that passed didn't do as good of a job as you, and you and then they denied you. So I don't know. I'm not the judge, but I feel like, you know, it wasn't as straight up as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So
it's hard when it's like,
no,
like
I was just saying that one. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That one was just stressful because it's like you have all of the other team members watching you, and it's like all eyes are on you, and that one was like probably one of the most stressful for me anyway, apart from the Lotus, because everyone's just watching you.
I have to ask this because I've always been curious. Whenever there's a task that has music playing, like on repeat, like it reminds me of like the Seven Nation Army playing while they're building the kit. With you for the what I call the Midsummer Challenge, the Maple. What's like having music like that playing and that type of sound happening the whole time while you're trying to figure it all out?
Yeah, it's annoyingly chaotic because it's one of those things where. And it's not only just the music, but you're like, every time that music is going, you see another team member getting a clue. So it's like, that is synonymous with like someone else's passing. So
the music wasn't playing constant? It looked like in the edit, it looked like it was the whole time they were playing music.
So yes and no. For the most part it was, but like I said, because I wasn't too far off from the other teams, they tend to play it when someone got a clue.
Also, a fun fact, they stopped while you were building for a while the music because one of those maypoles fell down and hit one of the dancers on the head, and they had to come out and like attend her medically.
Yeah.
So it was pretty sketchy because it hit her hard too, and so people were like, she got carried out, and it was pretty bad.
And then I kind of felt like a kind of a jerk because I was like, check, and like hurt, you know. But I'm like, what about me and my for the most part, that music was playing, but it was mainly every time someone got a check. But like I said, we were only there for about 15 minutes.
Longer than everyone else.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they, other than that lady getting injured, they kept playing.
Yeah, it was really, everyone was very concerning. So
yeah, yeah. And then as you're trying to do it, like I'm like, do I stop? Because I'm like,
because I don't know if you see it. It was really windy.
It wasn't.
Really,
no, it wasn't.
It looked windy that leg. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I know. I always think about how they recruit those people for the challenges. Like, how did they get the locals to do that? I don't know if you got like any insight on that or like what they had told you guys.
It was like 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning. It was early in the morning, right?
It was fair.
It was really early in the morning, and they were like getting down like that early in the morning. I'm like, that's not me, you know?
I would have been all about it. I would have been like, sign me up. I want to dance. Let's go. Like 6 in the morning, done.
No, I need some coffee or something, you know? So.
So is there anything else that kind of sticks out to you from this season, either by the rewatch or in person, or anything else that is remarkable to you from y'all's experience?
Well, it's funny just talking to other cast members, and sorry, did you have some? That every cast member, this is weird to me, every cast member feels like they haven't been shown enough, right? Like even like I don't know. I don't want to put anyone's name on it, but like people are like, yeah, I just feel like I didn't get enough screen time. I'm like, what are you talking about? You had like the most screen time as anyone.
Right. It's so weird.
So I feel like it's never enough to like get your story out, because for us, like, you know, they talked about us having marital issues, but didn't tell us like why or what was going on. And
or even how we worked through it. Like it kind of left them to wonder. Right. And so that was one of those where like we talked about it constantly, to the point where I feel like they were like, we get it. So like people talk about like, oh yeah, like, oh, do you get a lot of DMs now on your Instagram or whatever, you know? And it's like Corey's like, oh, I got a lot. And like, okay, dude. But like with our DMs, like we get people like asking for marital advice and like, how did you get through it? And like what happened? And like that's something they could have shown, right? But they really haven't. And so I think you went really like sentimental with your takeaway.
Okay.
My takeaway is I didn't realize, I was shocked that Robin and Chelsea talked ish about me. I was shocked.
Oh, yes.
During the hate challenge, I was like, literally, I had no idea until we were sitting there that night with the whole family eating popcorn. We're just like this, and I'm sitting there and we're like watching, and I hear Robin say, Todd and Ashlie are going to leave because Ashlie can't do hard work, or Ashlie doesn't like hard work.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I sat up in my chair and I was like, please rewind that.
You're like classic.
And we were like, we rewound it, and I was like,
that was right
why
before
would
the hay.
she say that? Like, why would she say that about me?
Oh, we're okay. Ashlie can't do hard work or something like that. And I'm like,
my God.
My biggest takeaway was like, I didn't realize that.
And the great part though is we actually ended up getting first out of all that.
Yeah.
Like we
So I had messaged because we have a group chat, and I was like, oh, really, Robin? Oh, all right. Well, next time I see you, we're gonna do a hate barrel challenge, you and me.
But like she said that after we did the Vietnam mattress carrying thing, and you're the only female to do that. So I don't know. You know?
So, but that, I mean, I
feel like there's a little bit of jealousy. It was or something.
My biggest takeaway was like, oh, okay. I thought we were all like feeling fine about people, but but
I know I'd be too afraid to like talk crap about somebody like that, because like it's gonna be on TV and it's there. You can look it up. Like I don't know. It's just
for the rest of eternity.
But,
literally.
Yeah. But now whenever we're in an argument, I'm like, hey, Robin said it, not me.
Oh my God. Mark, do you have any other questions you'd like to ask?
Not really. I mean, like, you guys are always so great to talk to. I really enjoyed talking to you guys after you guys were eliminated, and also today was also great too. So I thank you guys for your time.
Absolutely. We loved it. Are you kidding me?
Hey, thanks for having us on, man.
Same time next week?
Yeah.
I mean, oddly enough, next week we were talking to Joel and Gary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
They're just as fun.
Oh, no, yeah. We love, I mean, your cast is like one of the more fun casts from Amazing Race in many years.
No, this has been one of the most entertaining casts I've seen in a long, long time. So like we've literally enjoyed every minute of talking to you guys, talking about the season, watching the season. It's been so much fun. So thanks for being a part of that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. All right. So last question for everybody is where can people find you on social media? Are you guys playing anything fun? Are you guys doing anything big soon?
Gosh, big soon. I don't know if we're planning anything. I know that we have like our socials is I'm just like miss.ashlie.martin.
And I'm Todd_Martin33.
And that's more of our personal. We do have a team one, but I don't know. We did a YouTube podcast where we did recaps, which I kind of felt like that allowed people to see a little bit more of our personalities. And we really did talk about behind the scenes, and we've had a lot of people reach out and say like, oh my gosh, like I absolutely love watching your recaps because they're so entertaining, and it like I didn't see this personality on the show. So a lot of people really enjoyed it. That one's just like, Todd,
we're thinking about doing more videos and just kind of like answering some of the questions we're getting out on DMs, because we are legit getting a lot of questions about, you know, like
I don't know, maybe we'll be marriage counselors at the end of this. Like,
hey, new career, who knew?
Yeah, how to argue and win. Like, no. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh my God.
But other than that, nothing crazy. We are hoping that, I'm just praying that like there is a chance that the Amazing Race Gods will pull us into another season.
Like redemption
whether
season
it's redemption or All-Stars, because I'm ready to go back and I'm playing the game completely different this time. So anyway.
Love that.
I know Todd's waiting for the call from the challenge, right?
Oh, I would love that. That'd be great. I would love that.
I'll pass on that, but yeah.
We need more Amazing Race on the challenge. Like we've had like 3 people.
We need
like
yeah, I agree.
We need some big, like good, like athletic guys that could really like crack some heads.
There's not a lot of Amazing Race representative like in across the board, which is so weird to me because it's like I feel like they're so all teams are like they're just so dynamic and they're so entertaining, and you know, so like we need to like kick it up a notch with the Amazing Race people being casted. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally agree. Yes. All right, Mark, where can people find you at? What are you up to?
At Mark Levy 85 for everything. Recently been posting on TikTok's movie reviews, and I just reviewed like my 5th Sundance movie from this past week, which was fun. Again, we'll be talking to Joel and Garrett next week, and I guess I'll be doing Exit Press again for season 36. I'm not sure, which will be interesting because I know someone on that cast. So
nice.
Fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
What about you, Sabrina?
You can find me at Sabrizi2492 for Twitter and Instagram, but I am going off social media for Lent, so you can follow me, but I probably won't get back to you for 40 days. But I'll probably be hosting this podcast again for the next season. I'm really excited to keep talking. I've been loving, hosting my first time like this, and it's such a big show, and so grateful to Silent Podcast for giving us this opportunity to like talk to you guys and just to be a part of this community. Nothing else crazy going on for me either. I'm just kind of chilling, hanging out.
Awesome.
Yay. Well, thanks again for joining us, Todd and Ashlie. Y'all were so much fun to talk to, and we just appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
It was fun.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.